this way or should I go this way? Maybe I should check the guidebook. It says, "See, I set before you today life and prosperity or death and destruction. One way leads to life and the other way leads to death. Which way should we go? Which way would you go?" I want to go the way of life. Let's check our guidebook again and see how to do that. Verse 16, Adonai says, "For I command you today to love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, and to keep his commands." That's how we choose life. We love the Lord our God, we walk in all his ways, and we keep his commands. Now, sometimes that's harder than it sounds, isn't it? Because sometimes we want to choose our own way, not God's way. And sometimes we don't walk in his ways. Sometimes we break his commands. What does Romans chapter 6 verse 23 say about that? It says, "For the wages of sin is death. But the gift of God is eternal life in Yeshua HaMashiach." That's the secret to choosing life. John 3:36 says, "Whoever believes in the Son has eternal life, but whoever rejects the Son does not see life, for God's wrath remains on him." So when we're thinking about choosing life or choosing death and knowing which way to go, we know that we are only able to love God, walk in his ways, and keep his commands if we're following Yeshua as our Messiah. Wow! Now I know the way to life. But I should probably tell others so that they know the way of life too. In fact, I think Romans says something about that. It says in Romans 10 verse 13, "Everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved." But then verse 14 asks, "But how can they call on the one they've not believed in? And how can they believe in the one of whom they've not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can they preach unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news." But if faith comes from hearing the message, and the message is heard through the word of Messiah, it sounds like then someone would need to be sent so that they can preach, so that the people who are listening can believe and then call on the name of the Lord and believe in Yeshua as the way of life. So that means God sends people to do what? To preach. That's right. In fact, I think Isaiah 61 has something to say about that. It says, "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach the good news to the poor." And in verse 6 it says, "And you will be called priests of the Lord. You will be named ministers of our God." So we have a double duty. Not only do we need to know which is the way of life and which is the way of death and choose life, but we're also called by God to go preach that good news and show the right way to other people. Shabbat Shalom.